Hi, it's Constant Angler. I just wanted to show you the differences between the new Dark Wolf Ultra and the original Dark Wolf, the DF50. This abbreviation for this one is the KF-50 SL. I've recently done a video, it's already out there on my channel, The Constant Angler, of an on-the-bank review of this one. I was very, very impressed with it. It's a great reel. I haven't used it for weeks or months yet, but from what I can gather, it's great. I'm very, very impressed with it. So, other than this one's shiny and this one has a matte black finish, what are the major differences? Well, size is obvious. Hopefully it's obvious to you. Just look at the size of the spools there. The frame is bigger on this one. Look at it from the side there. This is more shallow. This is a lower profile reel. It will sit lower on the rod, making it more palmable for you. If you have small hands, there might be something to consider, but they're very small reels anyway. They're compact bait casters, small as you can go, really. Yeah, even the handles, hopefully you'll be able to see that. This one's an 80mm handle. This one's an 85mm handle, or thereabouts. We'll look at the side views of these reels. I'll grab them hold there. As you can see, they're very similar. The design of the frame is similar. It's just everything's a bit smaller on the Ultra. It looks as though they managed to squeeze the same amount of drag into a smaller reel, which is amazing, really. But as technology moves on, you know, things get better. If we turn them over, you should be able to see the gear ratios. If we turn them around this way, you can read them the right way. You can see the DF50 is 5:3:1. Now you can get a 7:1:1 ratio reel now. They brought that out afterwards, and the Ultra is a 7:1:1. Now the DF50 has a larger spool, so for each turn of the handle you will get more line in, so this will be a faster retrieve if it was in the same ratio, i.e. 7:1:1. With the lower ratio, you get a bit more torque. So if you've got hard fighting fish, that will enable you to get a bit more torque as you wind around and maybe use that drag more effectively. So that might be something you need to consider. And this one comes with a clicker drag on the drag already. So if I loosen the drag off, you know, you can hear that. The original Dark Wolf doesn't have that. You needed to buy a kit. It's got 4 kilograms of drag, which equates to 8.8 pounds. It's carbon fiber discs in the drag, so that's of good quality. It has 10+1 bulb bearings, and 2 of those are what they call NMB bearings. These appear to be good, so it's a plus from what I can see. Why would you buy this one instead of this one? Well, this one is bigger. It has a larger line capacity. It has a larger spool than this one. So if line capacity is an issue for you, suggest you go for that. If you wanted to throw very delicate, smaller lures, sub 2 grams, then go for this. This will do it, and it's accurate. This will maybe get down to 2 grams if you're very good at casting, but 2.5 grams plus I've found for myself. End tension knob wise here, they both click. That's a bit duller sounding than this one, I think. I don't know if it'll come across. I find it easier to hear that than that on the bank, especially it was windy when I did my review. That was the only downside I could find to the reel. The handle knobs are the same, the star drag's the same. What I'll try to show you is the tolerance between the spool and the frame. I don't think it's as good on this one. I've got some 6-pound Sunline Basics fluorocarbon here. Let's see if that will go between the spool and the frame. Can you see that? It will go in there on this one quite easily. Hopefully if I get my fingers out of the way, you'll be able to see that. That's gone in there very easily. If I get some 6-pound fluoro here now, and I guess a lot of you might be using 4 pounds, so, but I believe that doesn't go. You see, I'm struggling to get that in there. I can eventually feed it in, but it's not going in very far as easily, if at all, actually. Let's have another look. Yeah, it's buckling up as I'm getting in there. Just about will go in, but no, it's not going in very easily at all, which would explain why, even though I was pushing the lures to the limit in my video where I've done the on the bank one already, I didn't get the line, and I got frap ups, I didn't get the line stuck between the spool and the frame. I have done that once or twice with this one, but that's you know, if you're a newbie, that's something to consider. Another thing to show you is how smooth this new Ultra is. It is buttery smooth for a budget reel, I must say. The PW100 Pro is quite a smooth reel as well, but that's the fish band. But this one just doesn't feel as tight. It's all a bit looser. Yeah, this just feels more solid. Yeah, it just feels tighter, smoother when I'm casting, when I'm winding. With a loose running spool, you can see, if not just hear, the side to side play there. And with the brakes on 5, what's it run like? What are the brakes like? There we go. Working very well, aren't they? I think. If I back the brakes down to say 4 now, there we go. Freer running again. Down to 3. Spinning even more. Very smooth still. Down to around 2. Yeah, we're spinning more and more. And these are standard stock bearings. They're very free running on 0. Now that's with quite a bit of side to side play. I wouldn't be fishing it with that much. I'd tighten it up a bit more than that to gain control. But it very much depends on what you are doing fishing wise. If you are you know, flipping and pitching, you need that spool to be very loose with very light lures, because you need to get the inertia, as I spoke about before. So you may need a very free running spool with more brakes than I necessarily used on my video. But you know, that's open for discussion. It all depends on your casting technique. Do you use a long drop with a slow build up and fast follow through, or do you use a very short drop for accuracy, pitching and flipping around in small streams, that kind of thing, where you might generate inertia quicker on the shorter drop? You're flicking it off the tip of the rod. All these are things to consider when you're talking brakes.
Let's try again. Let's have another go. Yes, a little flick off the wrist. It's accurate. It's where I was trying to place it too. You know, if I can buy a reel for £75 that's going to do this for it, I've pretty much got a reel for all my needs.
The day that I fished them, I didn't find it to be a problem with a sort of 1.7 gram lure, whatever it was at the time, and quite a bulbous lure, so it would catch the wind and things as well. The brakes, let's have a look. We'll look from the outside, show you on one of them. They go from 0 to 5, so 6 main graduations really, and there's 30 graduations in all. So very adjustable. On the bank, I found this one to be very controllable between sort of 2.5 to 3. It wasn't a fussy reel. I didn't have to keep changing the brakes dramatically to control various size lures, whether that was a 1.5 plus grams lure or a 9 gram lure. With some of the others, this one isn't bad, but some of the others you can constantly changing because of the lure profile. It might be slimmer, it might be flatter, catch the wind more, that kind of thing. This isn't a fussy reel. It's very easy and user friendly, I've found so far. They've both got ceramic line guides, and they're coned, so that's supposed to help with longer casts. They look exactly the same to me, and yeah, it's more a size thing than anything, and a spool capacity thing with you and what you want to use them for. One of the main differences here you can see again, well, straight away it's a size thing. Size of this spool to that spool. This spool here, and the design of them, this is a one-piece main shaft, this is a split shaft. Apparently that's better for casting, so I'm not sure why they didn't put it in with this one, but this spool, this does cast as far as the other one, if not further. It's smoother to my mind. That's what it felt like on the bank anyway. That spool weighs 6.1 grams or around 5.3 grams with the bearing taking off, and that is supposedly the lightest spool so far for a BFS reel. Definitely a budget reel. Don't quote me on that one, but it's an extremely light spool, which aids in your casting of light lures because it takes less inertia from the lure and from the angler itself to get that spool spinning, which enables you to cast lighter lures. It's not holding the lure back. This won't go as light. This will go, as I said, down to 2 gram plus. This will go below 2 grams. Both great reels, mine. And you can see you've got the, if we look at the spools here again now, it's the difference in size of the bearings on them. This is almost a micro bearing. Whether it is or not depends on the size of the little balls inside the bearing. But that's the standard stock bearing, that one. Well, these are standard stock bearings on this one, which we'll talk about, because I found on the bank that bearing, the stock bearings with the braking system, was very effective. Sometimes you can probably see in here and in here, there, I've got a ceramic bearing in there. Now, the ceramic bearings will make the spools run freer. They're noisier. But if you haven't got the braking system to deal with it, what's the point? There is no point to it. You're shooting yourself in the foot. It becomes less controllable for the sake of distance, and then you're less confident, you gain less distance. That's how I find. And usually people who are using these reels are generally new to the sport. You want something controllable, something that won't have you running away with your tail between your legs the minute you start. So I'd recommend this over this. It's an improvement on the original. If we just look at the spool of the Dark Wolf, you can see the porting's different to on the Ultra here as opposed to the DF50. A couple of these hose you can see there, there's plenty of them around there. There's a solid metal band on this side of the spool, which is where the magnets were influenced. But it's got almost a horizontal hole there. Looks like they've just drilled out 2 of these holes and made them horizontal every other one. And this adds to the spool being very light, and its size and its small bearing that it has on this end. This reel didn't come with a lot of grease in the bearings and that. I literally, before I went and cast it, I did nothing to it. So I've gone on the bank with it and it's out of the box. If you look at the braking system, we have it's an imitation Shimano braking system. So we turn it on the side there, you can see the magnets. These magnets, this little mechanism there is on a spring, and as the spool spins, it creates a magnetic field which draws them towards the spool. The faster it goes, the closer they get to the spool, the more control of the spool they take, and as it slows down, it slides back inwards. You can see there's another difference, isn't there? These spools always want to run away. The size of it, this is smaller, but same mechanism. They have the same amount of magnets on, which look to me the same size. And we'll get that back, pop it there. So yeah, it's a lighter spool, it's a slightly different design of spool, but the same braking system, just smaller. Everything is smaller on the Ultra. Well, this one weighs 151 grams overall, and this one weighs 135 grams, and that is quite noticeable in the hand. Now, I do wonder, will we get to a point where, for the sake of making the spool so light, we lose its integrity, i.e. you hook a good fish and it buckles the spool? I don't know. We must be heading towards that now because we're getting lighter all the time. So it might be something you need to think about if you're regularly latching into good sized pike or something like that, then this might cope with it better than that. We'll see, only time will tell with that. Line capacities. So it will say on the spools themselves. So if we look at this one, so the Ultra 0.148 millimeter line, you get 120 meters. 0.165, you get 100 meters. So considerably less than the DF50, which is 0.165 will give you 130 meters and 0.185, 110 meters. So something to consider. But as you get into BFS, if you're a newbie, you'll discover that, certainly for my needs, what I do in the UK, I put about 50 meters, which is about 160 something feet, I think, off the top of my head, on my spools. That helps with control, it helps with bird's nest, and I'm generally finding with the size lures that I have, I'm casting them as far as I want, and I have braid, in my case, left on the spool. So it's up to you what you use on the spool and how big a spool you want, hence which reel is better for you. So overall, I love the Ultra. I think it's more user-friendly. Price-wise, this one is £75 in the UK. This one is about 70, give or take, depending where you buy from. I've bought both of these, I think, from Jamie at Needham Specialist Tackle. So I'll put links in below. They're available on AliExpress and other places. You might save a little bit, but it depends. I'd always recommend whatever country you're in. So talking about the international flavour of BFS, I have a Facebook group, BFS Budget Finesse Fishing, and it has a very international flavour to it. There are people from all over the world. BFS is really taking off in America, and it's having a renaissance in Asia. It originally started in Japan with a need to cast small lures to pressured fish and wanting to do it accurately with a bait casting system. But anywhere from the Philippines to Malaysia to Singapore to Canada to America to the UK to Australia, BFS is really taking off. And if you want to dip your toes into BFS, I'd recommend this reel at the moment, the Tsurinoya Dark Wolf Ultra KF-50S.